if you're going to tell people that this person is a constant threat, why wouldn't somebody try to eliminate that threat? That would actually be a sensible thing for somebody to do if they believe the rhetoric that is coming out of people's mouths. Now,
then
if this had happened and it was flipped,
including you, Candace.
Cenk, you just spoke for a very long time.
Candace finish, please.
You're going to have to learn how to control yourself. Cenk, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you, but you just had a very long time to speak and we were quiet. I promise you can do that. You need to sit on your hands, then you should do that. Cenk is somebody that grew up, obviously, with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's never had to fight for anything in his life and has never had to put his life before somebody else's. So it's very easy for him to behave like this, to behave demonstrably like a toddler who is throwing his toys out of the pram when he doesn't get what he wants. And so he heightens his rhetoric and says, why am I not getting what I want? This man's a dictator. This man's a threat. And he's not being realistic. And it's embarrassing to our country, whether it was a person on the right or the left.
You guys haven't addressed it at all. Are you agreeing with these two lunatics that he was not a right-winger
you should have a little
and that
bit
he was
more
some
respect
sort of gay lover of Paul Pelosi?
Eric Prince as a lunatic. He served our country. You should have a little more respect and decency.
Yeah, no, he's a mercenary and a disgusting guy, by the way.
Hello, beautiful people. It's Sindafam. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're back again with another video. And this is from Piers and there is Candace Owens is on the panel as well as Cenk Uygur. So we're going to be checking this together.
Cenk Uygur, there's a lot going on. I mean, the news cycle right now feels slightly insane. You know, you've got Donald Trump nearly assassinated again, twice in 2 months now. You've got apparently Israel launching this extraordinary attack across the whole of Lebanon on thousands of Hezbollah terrorists and, of course, wounding and potentially killing as well civilians in the process. So there's a lot to unpack here. What do you make of it?
Okay, first of all, on Donald Trump, what do you want me to do? The guy did a coup attempt. He had fake electors, not even his own electors. You have your own slate of electors. He didn't use them because they said this is unconstitutional and illegal. You lost the election. And he said, all right, you can get in fake electors. Let's do a coup attempt here. Let's have them bum rush the Capitol. And then that'll create enough confusion that we can bring it back to the states and the Republicans will cheat for us. They even wrote it in a book. Then he said we should terminate the Constitution because he lost the election. So what do you want me to do, Piers? The guy hates democracy. He's a dictator wannabe. So, okay, should you shoot at him? Of course not. Any action that is physical like that or violent is a surrender in the intellectual field of debate and ideas. So it's a terrible idea. It's immoral, etc. But I'm not going to let up on Donald Trump for 1 second rhetorically, because he is a monster and he tried to terminate our Constitution. He tried to steal an election. I've never seen anyone so despicable in American politics. And by the way, there's another reason why I'm angry at him, because I'm a populist and he took populism and he perverted it to just turning into his own personal con. He's such a slimy con man. I loathe him. Everyone should vote against him. He's one of the worst people I have ever seen in politics, and I'm not going to let him terminate the Constitution or destroy this democracy.
You see, what I find extraordinary, Cenk, is you haven't even given it a beat since he nearly had his brains blown out on Sunday on a golf course, which came 2 months after.
Did he give a beat, Piers? Did he give a beat? Did he ever give a beat when he constantly talks about violence? Hey, if someone takes out somebody from with a stretcher, I'll pay the legal bills. Attack people. Oh, my political opponents, I'm going to jail them. I'm going to attack them.
Well, to be clear, hang on. To be clear, you're trying to equate him making a joke about maybe slapping or punching someone in a crowd who's abusing him with someone.
Can I make a joke about
someone taking an AK
Trump across the face?
Well, hang on,
can I make that joke? Can I make that joke, Piers?
Hang on, somebody actually shooting him on a rally stage and then very nearly shooting him on a golf course with an AK-47. Do you not see the difference?
So, Piers, those are terrible actions. So what I'm asking you a literal question. What do you want me to just go?
Could you give it a beat?
Okay, now Donald Trump's a good, hold on, let me finish the question.
On a human level.
Donald Trump's a good guy. Donald Trump loves democracy. Donald Trump's still the same monster he was yesterday. So I hate that people are shooting at him. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. It's immoral. It's wrong.
Why would you be surprised?
I can't condemn it any stronger.
Why would you be surprised?
I'm not going to tell you that Donald Trump is a decent man
but Cenk,
when he's a grotesque human being.
Why would you be surprised that people are taking drastic action? Unhinged people with unhinged brains who are listening to constant rhetoric from people.
You didn't answer the question.
Well,
what do you want me to do? You want me to politically surrender, right?
I'm asking you a question. Do you not consider for a moment that within 48 hours you're still saying monster, demagogue, dictator, blah, 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 blah.
That's because that's who he is.
Yes, but this is what is affecting.
So you want me to lie?
Yeah, because
Piers, tell me this. Do you want me to lie?
Let me finish. The shooter at the golf course, specifically in his recent social media posts, parroting Kamala Harris, saying that he was effectively an existential threat to democracy in America. You're doing the same. Does nothing make you pause?
You're insane.
Hillary Clinton's
You're
doing
insane.
the same.
Trump does it 2,000 times worse.
So Piers, because you think he does it,
your
you
great
should do
idea
it too.
is Democrats shouldn't campaign against your beloved Donald Trump because some moron, mentally unstable guy took a shot at him. Okay, or two of them did. You know what? I can protect Donald Trump. Ban assault weapons. That'll protect Donald Trump way more than any of, say nice things about him now that some lunatic took some shots at him. Here, let me be super clear. If you're on the left, I know the right-wingers love their guns and Second Amendment remedy, and they've been riled up to do violence nonstop. But if you're on the left and you do any violence, you are not one of us. You're a stupid person who does nothing but make a worthy cause look immoral with your insanity. Never do violence. Is that clear enough?
Or maybe when they constantly hear on the airways people like you and Hillary Clinton and others constantly depicting Trump as an existential threat to democracy in America.
Piers, you're totally guilty. You're guilty. You're guilty. Because you support Donald Trump. And Donald Trump has done 2,000 times worse, and you know it. You won't even run it on this show.
Okay.
You won't even run it on this show because Donald Trump, what he says is so much worse than anything a Democrat has ever said about him. So you won't even run it on this show. So that's it. Are you telling Donald Trump, you better shut up? You better not say any of those gross things that you always say. You know that he joked about smashing Nancy Pelosi's husband's head in with a hammer.
Yeah, and the truth
One
is,
of his
Cenk,
lunatic fans tried to murder Nancy Pelosi's husband, and he's like, it's so funny.
Here's
Do
the
you
problem.
know that when they tried to murder his vice president,
Here's the problem,
he then
Cenk.
turned around and said he deserved it.
Here's the problem.
He's a psycho,
Here's
and
the
you defend him every day, Piers.
Here's the problem. You have no idea what I've said about Trump when he's done these things. If you had, you wouldn't accuse me of not talking about them because
So are you
I always
telling
do.
him to shut up?
Because I always do.
Are you telling him to shut up?
I want to bring in Candace Owens here. Candace, look, we're 48 hours after the latest assassination attempt, and I'm listening to another liberal who I respect. I've had Cenk on a lot on the show, absolutely losing his mind about how despicable Donald Trump is and what a threat he is and a danger and so on and so on. Exactly the kind of rhetoric that Trump has said he believes is fueling these people to try and kill him. What do you make of where we are with this?
What I make of all of this is that if you are going to legitimately tell people that someone is a monster, that somebody is a dictator, that somebody is literally Adolf Hitler, if you're going to tell people that this person is a constant threat, why wouldn't somebody try to eliminate that threat? That would actually be a sensible thing for somebody to do if they believe the rhetoric that is coming out of people's mouths. Now,
Then
if
all
this
of the
had
right
happened
wing
and
is
it was
guilty,
flipped,
including you, Candace.
Cenk, you just
You're all
spoke for a
guilty.
very long
You've
time.
done
Candace finish,
10,000
please.
times worse than
Let
you know.
Candace
Candace
control
speak.
yourself.
Cenk.
Cenk, you're going to have to learn how to control yourself. I know it's very difficult for you, but you just had a very long time to speak and we were quiet. I promise you can do that. You need to sit on your hands, then you should do that. As I was saying, if this situation had been reversed and I had just watched somebody try to shoot Kamala Harris, I would be definitively saying how wrong it was. I would be saying to people that despite the fact that I do not want her to be president, of course, she is not so much of a threat that she needs to be shot. They don't stop this rhetoric because they do not want these assassination attempts to stop on Donald Trump. And I want to be very clear. The circumstance that we find ourselves in the West is one of remarkable privilege. And when you're in times of remarkable privilege, it creates actually an issue of having a lot of weak men, right? Weak men are the ones that are going out here
Like
proclaiming that Donald Trump is a threat, proclaiming that Donald Trump is somebody that is a dictator because they've never had real conflict in their lives. And you're about to see that example right now, the difference in the demeanor between someone like Cenk and Eric Prince, who I greatly respect, and who is somebody who has seen real conflict and understands what real threat is, right? He understands real threat. Cenk is somebody that grew up, obviously, with a silver spoon in his mouth. He's never had to fight for anything in his life and has never had to put his life before somebody else's. So it's very easy for him to behave like this, to demonstrate like a toddler who is throwing his toys out of the pram when he doesn't get what he wants. And so he heightens his rhetoric and says, why am I not getting what I want? This man's a dictator. This man's a threat. And he's not being realistic. And it's embarrassing to our country, whether it was a person on the right or the left.
You guys haven't addressed it at all.
Cenk, I promise you are capable
He
of
wants to
controlling
terminate the Constitution,
yourself
so
for
you
3
like that?
minutes as somebody else speaks.
Oh my goodness. Hats up for Candace Owens, because the way she just handled this and treated him, Cenk, the exact same way like he should be treated. Because obviously the Democrats, the left, they lose their mind. And it's the fact that they act so uncontrollable, especially when the things don't go their way and all that. And exactly what she said. And it's the exact same thought as mine. When you keep painting somebody to be a threat, saying the person is Hitler, and based on the information people already read about Hitler, and say the person is dictator and all that, of course people will want to eliminate the threat. But again, let's not forget that this same said Trump, or this same Trump that people have been saying, oh, is a threat to democracy, he's been the president before. So why are they still pushing the exact same narrative now and scaring people off? And they seem to act like it's nothing and still want to blame somebody else. Why is that? Why do they really think they want to play this card just because they want to brainwash people? Make it make sense. And exactly what Candy just did, because obviously he's had the minute to speak and wasn't even interrupted. But when it's about time for someone else to speak, and just because you don't agree with what the person is speaking, you want to interrupt the person. He didn't even answer the question it was asked, but obviously let's just bypass that. But he wants to interrupt what somebody else is saying as long as he doesn't agree with. But you see how coordinated others were, allowed him to speak, gave him the airtime. So why can't they just act civil? Just why? And he's not just the only one. This is a common behavior from the left. Like, make it make sense. When are they just gonna act accordingly, act civil? It's not that big of a deal. It's not that hard to be civil. Let me know your thoughts regarding this though. Listen, as much as many people may not agree, everybody may not necessarily have to share the exact same ideology or agree on some instances or some cases. But the essence is you letting people speak and letting people hear their voice, whether you disagree or not. It is not your job to cancel the person, or you don't have to cancel the person. And remember, there is free speech, right? So obviously you're countering free speech, or you only want free speech when it's beneficial to you, but you don't want it for somebody else as long as you don't agree with the person. What does that say about you? But same pushing a narrative or selling a certain narrative that somebody is a threat to democracy. Make it make sense.
Let me bring in Eric. Eric, you are a former Navy SEAL.
And a patient.
And a very patient former Navy SEAL, yes. You know, when I look at what's happened here, there are lots of strands to what's going on. And we'll come to the security aspect around Trump, which I find pretty scary, actually, that twice people have, with extraordinary ease, got into positions to assassinate him in the space of 8 weeks, which I just find quite remarkable and shocking and shameful, and a disgrace that the Secret Service has allowed that to happen. But before we get to that, this whole...
They saved his life.
Well, they didn't save his life. They put him in a position where his life nearly got taken. That's the truth. I mean, because they didn't even check
the perimeter. Didn't even get off a shot.
They didn't even check. They didn't even check the perimeter of the golf course before he was exposed for 4 hours on that course 8 weeks after he was shot. It is unbelievable that anyone from the Secret Service would claim anything but a dismal failure of their preparation to protect the president, in my opinion. But we'll come to that. Eric, what do you make of this debate, which is raging right now in this debate now, about the rhetoric and the responsibility of people who are on the airwaves, who are in public life, to dial down the rhetoric?
Look, like the video clip you opened with, there's an enormous amount of apocalyptic language spoken by the left, saying he must be eliminated, he is Hitler, and that unleashes every left-wing crazy to authenticate themselves by saying, I'm going to be the hero. This guy, this Ruth guy on Sunday, who was there for 12 hours stalking Donald Trump with a high-powered rifle with a scope, with ballistic plates up against the fence. And what did he have up there? A GoPro. Why? He was trophy hunting. He wanted to be the savior of the left, to say, I'm the one that killed Donald J. Trump. Trophy hunting, Cenk, for people like you responding to words that you're putting out there. Why else would he have a GoPro?
No, he wanted to get famous. You're totally right about that, Eric. And I hate that. But the way that this whole thing has been framed, as if the right wing doesn't do rhetoric that is 10,000 times more dangerous and violent over and over again. Trump's fans sent pipe bombs to every one of his enemies. Trump fan hit Nancy Pelosi's husband in the head with a hammer, and Trump never even denounced it. How sick is that? That he never even denounced it. He laughs about it. So if we were using the Trump standard, we'd laugh about him getting shot at, but I'm not as disgusting as Donald Trump is.
Nancy Pelosi's husband had an interlude with some bizarre gay lover. Trust me.
He wasn't on the right.
Oh my God, I'm on here with lunatics. I'm on here with lunatics and conspiracy
wasn't on the
theorists.
right.
I can't believe he just said that. And you're saying that the guy who smashed Paul Pelosi's head in wasn't on the right? Is that what Candace Owens, the lunatic, just said?
Okay, just so you know, if you're going to call somebody else a lunatic, you shouldn't be behaving like one in the process.
When you say, but Cenk, when you say these right-wingers are all nuts, do you understand the irony, given you just spent the last 10 minutes literally ranting?
Yeah, I do, Piers. So I am loud and aggressive because that's what the Democrats and the left wing need to stand up to lunatic bullies like this. Candace Owens just said that the attacker of Paul Pelosi was not a right winger when he is a Donald Trump fan and a deep right winger. And Eric Prince, the lunatic, had said that he was a gay lover of Paul Pelosi. A conspiracy theory so unhinged that how am I supposed to respond to it? You can't have a rational discussion with people who don't believe in facts and logic. Piers, are you agreeing with these two lunatics that he was not a right winger and that he was some sort of gay lover of Paul Pelosi?
Eric Prince as a lunatic, he served our country. You should have a little more respect and decency.
Yeah, no, he's a mercenary and a disgusting guy, by the way. How many people did you get killed? Innocent people in Iraq, Eric. How many people did you have mowed down in Iraq, Eric?
You know, going back to your topic, Piers, perhaps it's time to bring back 19th century behavior, which maybe we had a more civil society then. If people are going to throw all kinds of bombastic language, they do so because they do it without consequence. In the 19th century in the UK, people would call them out for a duel. It doesn't have to be to the death. It could be swords. It could be bugle sticks. Maybe that would make for a more polite society. I don't know. I'm ready to go there.
You see that? Piers, you see that? Who's the first to threaten violence? Of course, Eric from the right wing. Yeah, whereas I denounce violence. I denounce it strongly and loudly, and you heard it with your own ears.
But Cenk, what I don't think you appreciate is how ranting, incendiary rhetoric of the kind you've unleashed so far in this debate yourself can, with an impressionable, unhinged person who believes everything you're saying about Trump, as Candace said, why wouldn't that person think to themselves, yeah, we've got to get rid of him. We've got to stop him.
Okay.
So my question for you is, if you can't even dial it down within 48 hours of a second assassination attempt on Trump's life, when can you?
So, Piers, now let's have an intelligent conversation. Hold on. About where are the lines? Where are the lines? So, he asked me a question. Where are the lines? So, when Trump says these incendiary things that encourage violence, including laughing at smashing the head in of a political opponent's husband, that's what? Is that fine? Or he's bad too?
Well,
how long does he have to pause saying violent things?
Listen, I've criticized Trump for lots of his incendiary language over the years. But as far as I...
So how long should he stop?
Hang on. So far as I know, he's never called one of his opponents Adolf Hitler. And yet the left constantly...
Yeah, he did.
Constantly...
I don't know about Hitler, but first of all... But Piers, you make it look like...
Cenk, here's my point. If the left constantly say, as they do, he's the new Hitler, who, by the way, murdered 12 million people with his Nazis, including 6 million Jews in the Holocaust. If you keep saying that often enough, as the left do in America, eventually an unhinged mind is going to think, I've got to stop the new Hitler. That's my point.
So first of all, I've never called him Hitler, but I love Sandra Day O'Connor's quote about, it was about Bush and Cheney at the time, about fascism. She said, we've got to be careful of these beginnings so that we don't get those endings. So what I'm worried about is a guy who says that he loves dictators and writes love letters to them, and that he loves it when everybody has to stand up and applaud and no one can disagree with the leader of the country. He loves it. He thought we should terminate the Constitution. When they said to him, hey, they're trying to murder, your fans are trying to murder your own vice president, he told Mark Meadows, his chief of staff, he deserves it. I have to tell people the reality about Donald Trump. So, Piers, what do you want me to do? Take a 48-hour break, a 72-hour break? Or maybe do you want me to take a month and a half of a break of criticizing Donald Trump so he can win the election?
It was interesting watching CNN yesterday, my old network, for example, where CNN finally conceded on air that actually when Kamala Harris repeated this trope about Trump, that he called for they said there would be a bloodbath if he lost the election. Everyone knows that's untrue. That's not what he said. He talked about a bloodbath in the automobile industry. CNN finally admitted that on air, but Kamala Harris repeated that in a way that implied he said there would be a literal bloodbath. So when it comes to rhetoric, yes, Donald Trump has a lot of incendiary things that come out of his mouth, and I wish he didn't. But so does the left, Cenk. And your utter refusal to accept that anyone on the left can be even remotely responsible for creating an atmosphere where two people now tried to kill Trump, I think is very disingenuous.
Piers, let me be clear. So number one, on the bloodbath comment, On the day of and ever since, we played the whole clip on the Young Turks and told everybody he did not mean violence. He talked about an economic bloodbath.
So why did Kamala Harris
we were
pretend
honest
that he
about
did?
it. We've never called him Hitler. But Piers, I can't sit here and not tell you that he didn't try to end our democracy, because he did. So I'm asking you now
No,
for
he
like the
didn't.
fourth time.
He
What
can't
do you
just
want
say
me to
something
do?
I'm
that
gonna
isn't
get-
true.
This is the exact same thing the left does. They rage about things, and they say things and they throw the insults and all of that. As long as it doesn't go their way, or when you're speaking, they interrupt you because they disagree with you. But when they are speaking and you interrupt, it becomes a problem. And if you say some things, they read meaning, take it out of context, and trying to play the card. They look for every scenario, they find every scenario to blame it on somebody. My question is, when are the left actually gonna grow up, or when are they actually gonna behave like adults? Because obviously this attitude we've been seeing over here is not making sense. So people are supposed to hold a civil conversation, whether you agree or not, it doesn't matter. But the essence is, hold your conversation, and share your opinions regardless, instead of starting to insult people and all that. No sign of respect for other people, but you want others to respect you, and you demand freedom of speech and still insult people regardless. Like, no respect for people or no dignity at all. It don't make any sense. But I love the way Candice handled the situation and everyone else, because he has just been ranting. Shank has just been ranting, yeah. And I mean, for the entirety of this video, he has been the only one speaking. We could actually count how many times we heard the other's voice. And you saw that while he was speaking, others did not even interrupt him. They let him speak, air his views. And that is how conversations are supposed to be, or supposed to go. But the leftover obviously really needs some working to do. But I love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. What do you think about this discussion? Obviously, because let's be honest, regardless of the political differences, nobody deserves what happened to Trump, the assassination stuff and all. Nobody deserves it, regardless of your political stance and your political disagreement. And the essence is to acknowledge it and say things so that it is, or condemn it. But if you outrightly don't deem it necessary to condemn it, then it's a no, it's wrong. And obviously pushing the narrative or selling the narrative to scare people to be afraid of Trump, or to say Trump is a threat to democracy, is crazy. But I love your thoughts and your contribution in the comments below. Make sure to like